Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Tiffany, chiropractor and holistic health and life coach. Today, I would like to discuss an article that I had the pleasure of reading. And the article focused on processed foods and its ability to shorten our lifespan. And it's interesting that you are starting to see more information regarding like processed foods, the food dyes, and articles and information focused on kind of shifting towards a healthier way of living. And that is extremely important. It's great, but we also have to really be mindful, right, of the information that we're taking in. I believe that you will start to see more of these articles and more research being done due to our new Health and Human Services Secretary, right? He is an advocate for healthy living. He's wanting to remove the food dyes, take a deeper look into some of the diseases and disorders that commonly plague, right, our country. And he's just wanting to look at things from a different viewpoint, which is great. But you also have to really be mindful of the entities that are providing us with this information and the research, right? Always have to be leery. But for the sake of this video, let's talk about the processed foods and why it's important that we pay attention, right? We know that processed foods are typically made with more manufactured ingredients, and they don't necessarily include a lot of holistic ingredients, right? I once heard a quote that said, "The longer the shelf life, the shorter your life." And I'm not sure who wrote it, but that is absolutely true. Because the truth of the matter is, a lot of processed foods have a lot of calories, right? They're made with the food dyes that are harmful and a lot of different other ingredients and chemicals that aren't best for us. And they aren't the best for us because they don't require as much energy, time, and finance to produce. What do I mean by that? If the corporation is able to make, let's say, some crackers or a drink and use products that cost maybe 10 cent on the dollar versus 90 cent on the dollar, we know that the product that or the ingredient that costs 10 cent on the dollar probably isn't a healthy ingredient. But in comparison, the ingredient that costs 90 cent on the dollar probably is a healthier choice in terms of ingredients, but they want to minimize the cost, make more product, right? And give whatever the processed item is a longer shelf life. And in doing so, they are using ingredients that are harmful. There's no other way around it. And we've talked about this in several other videos. But why do you think the article mentions shortening our lifespan? Well, it shortens a person's lifespan indirectly because when you are consuming these things that are detrimental to your health, what happens over time, right? Your body starts to break down because our body is not meant to consume these different types of processed foods on a day-to-day basis. We know that we have been created to consume whole foods, right? And eat from items that come from the earth. And that also includes animals if you are a person who does consume animal products or animal meat. The animals consume grass or whatever their diet is, seeds, and anything and everything else in between. And from there, once they have went through their process and now they're on the grocery store shelves, right? We consume that. And whichever diet you choose, that we're not here to debate that part. What we should understand, however, is that our diet should consist of more whole foods and less processed foods, because the processed foods typically have more calories, there's a higher caloric content. The processed foods don't contain as many healthy nutrients, right? We know that we can receive a lot of vitamins and minerals from the whole foods that we consume on a regular basis. A lot of times, those processed foods lack those healthy vitamins and minerals. So you're consuming a product that has very little to no nutritional value. And if your body isn't receiving what it needs to continue to not only survive, but thrive, at some point it starts to break down, right? And that breakdown we know leads to dis-ease, right? The body is not operating with ease, and then that eventually leads to disease, whatever that disease may be. And as a result of contracting a disease, right? Yes, your lifespan can be shortened. Also, your quality of life is greatly impacted. So, this article does have some truth to it, but you also have to remember that the overall goal is not to completely eliminate, right? If you are a person who likes to have some chips every now and then with a soda, or you enjoy popcorn and soda when you go to the movies with your family, that's completely okay. The overall concept that I think we should all be taking away from this is that we need to consume more whole foods and less processed foods, right? Too much of anything isn't good for you. We all know that. So you want your diet to consist of more whole foods and less processed foods. That's not saying that you have to eat healthy every day of the week. Give yourself a cheat day, because we know that if you don't, what will happen? You will typically binge later and you'll fall off track. You also have to be mindful, right, of what the Bible says, right? Our body is a temple and we should be taking care of it accordingly. So if you're consuming foods that you know aren't helping your temple to function the way God intended, then already we are in sin, right? We know that if we have the knowledge and we know better, it's sin to us. So we cannot continue to turn a blind eye to our diet, lifestyle, or anything with regard to sin. But the bigger picture is, if you expect to live a long life and you want to be here for your children, your grandchildren, maybe even your great grandchildren, you have to be intentional about pushing back the plate and also being mindful of what you're consuming. And then on top of that, keep in mind that the habits that you're creating also affects your family. So your children, your spouse, your sister, your brother, your mother, your cousin, they're watching, right? And they may not always say something, but you never know who you're influencing based on the choices that you're making. And it doesn't mean that you have to be an expert or someone who's well versed in the area. You simply just have to live, or attempt to live, a more healthy lifestyle and set that example. Because when you do, not only are you honoring your body, but you're setting the example for everyone around you. And they may not say it, but they're watching, and you may start to see them slowly make positive changes as well. So remember, you are what you eat, right? And if you want to not only survive, but thrive and have a healthy quality of life, you have to be mindful of what you're consuming and ask yourself, why do I want this? Is it a craving? Is it something that's quick and easy? Is it something that you consume out of routine, right? What is the reason for you wanting to consume the unhealthy and the healthy? It all goes back to taking inventory, which is something that we discussed a while ago, but it's something that definitely applies here. So I will put the link to the article in the description box below. I encourage you to take a look at it, read it, maybe have a discussion with your family, right? And talk about these things, because it's important for your children to know why you're making the choices that you're making. The best way that you can educate them is by having a healthy dialogue and presenting the information. Take the time to dissect it with them. Let them know what's true and what's not true, and explain to them why. Because what you're doing is you are creating a blueprint for your children and all of the grandchildren and great-grandchildren that will come after you. You're setting a precedent, and that's extremely important. So I hope that this video was informative. Remember, you are what you eat, and you always have to be willing to take inventory and make change. Until next time, heal holistically, and I look forward to speaking with you soon.